Where's Ronnie? Is Ronnie? All right, we're going to get started. And I'd like to take the time just to thank everybody for coming to our 23rd annual Millville Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony hosted by the Millville Thunderbolt Club. Before I say any other words, I'm going to call up Ronnie Lamb, one of our Hall of Fame members and a alumni, former 1975 state champion, to do the invocation and introduction here. Ronnie?
Everybody bow your heads, please. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be able to gather together. Thank you for the time of fellowship, food, fellowship, and fun that we've had. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to receive some new inductees that are coming in tonight. Father, we just thank you for all these blessings that you've allowed us to partake, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right. Thanks, Ron. We have a wonderful event here planned tonight, and we will be inducting an amazing class to join the other groups that we've inducted over the last 23 years. It's, if you get a chance to look at the program, there's some ads in there and all that other stuff, but when you get to the back, you'll see the list of inductees over the years. So when you get some time in between the individuals speaking tonight, take some time, check that out, and you'll be amazed. It's truly something special. And when we're done tonight, I know for the first hour we had the social hour in the other room. This is the other half of the Thunderbolt Club. So when we're done tonight, take the time to just browse around. You can see it's continually growing and getting bigger, better, more items are coming in for the various sports that are hosted at Millville High School. And the plaques on the wall represent the individuals that have been inducted over the years and so forth. So, yeah, enjoy. What I'd like to do right now is bring up the gentleman that has been running our Thunderbolt Club here, a gentleman that has done an amazing job leading the Thunderbolt Club for the last several years, actually. And when I say guiding us in the right direction, I mean, I can tell you, just take a peek at this building. You understand what I'm talking about. I'd like to bring up our president, Craig Atkinson. Craig, you're up.
Thanks, Dave. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you sincerely for coming out tonight for this fantastic class. Every year we've had a fantastic class. I mean, the committee does a fantastic job on electing our inductees. We go through a process. We talk about it. Sometimes there's arguments, things like that. But all in all, we come up with, and it's really easy because, Millville High School, steeped in tradition, just phenomenal athletes. You look at just recently, I mean, 2 state championships in football in the last 3 years with some phenomenal athletes, and they're great kids. We work with those kids. We have them here for meals and things like that. Just a fantastic group of kids, as are all the teams from Millville High School. But I do want to introduce the Millville Sports Hall of Fame Committee. First off, if you're here, please stand up, and then we'll applaud you. Rich Andrews, Jim Beebe, Paul Ewan, Bill Hoover, Dave Lagamba, Jim McCormick, Rob Shannon, Bill Shaughnessy, Christy Thompson, Ed Andrews, Michelle Brown, Megan Finch Weldon, Fletcher Jameson, Ronnie Lamb, Kathy Nieder, Debbie Sharp, Brian Sloan, Ron Vinnick, Joe Durella, Dion Henry, Marty Cavanaugh Sr., Claudia McCarthy, Dave Nieder, Dave Sharpless, and Tony Cerace. So if you're here, please stand up. I'd like to have a big round of applause for our committee. So the other board that I would like to introduce is the board of the Millville Thunderbolt Club. And there's probably about 20 people on the board of Millville Thunderbolt Club. Do a fantastic job. You know, we go through our trepidations here and there, but still, all in all, it's a fantastic group of people. And I'd like to introduce you. If you're here again, please stand up. Coach Tony Cerace, Michelle Brown, our treasurer. Thank God for Michelle. Cool. What a job she does with our, you know, money that we spend, and does a great job. But the other board members are Paul Ewan, Megan Weldon Finch, Ronnie Durham, Ronnie Lamb, Coach Eddie Andrews, Dave Lagamba, Jim Beebe, Dan Fimiani, Bob Reed, Jason Kessler, Tim Kelly, Bert Ayala, Lindsay Warfel, Jamie Lau, Darren Carr, Ashley Weems, Quan Boleg, and Mulford Huffsey. How about a round of applause for our board of directors? So the last group of people that I usually introduce are our previous or past inductees to the Hall of Fame. The list is getting very large, so I'm not going to read all the names like I usually do. I would just ask you, if you are a member, current member of the Millville Sports Hall of Fame, inductee of the Millville Sports Hall of Fame, please stand at this time. And a round of applause for everybody in that Hall of Fame. But once again, welcome to the Thunderbolt Club. The board is very proud of what we do each and every year. There's a lot of work that goes into it. The board does a fantastic job helping everybody out. We help each other out, and it's a lot of fun, and it's enjoyable. And the mission of the Millville Thunderbolt Club is to enhance the athletic experience of the Millville High School athletes. But it's also to recognize some of our past athletes that we do here at the Millville Sports Hall of Fame. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dave at this time, and we can start our program.
All right. So I mentioned earlier, if you get a chance, is to look at the plaques that are on the wall. And tonight our inductees will be getting a plaque to bring home with them, and then we have one that will also be going up on the wall to signify their induction. So this is the plaque that they'll be receiving tonight. And our first inductee from our legacy category is Kay Casaboon Ayers. And I'm going to read the plaque, and then I'm going to call up Sue Ayers, her daughter, who will be accepting on her behalf. Kay Casaboon Ayers. Kay participated in an era when females had very few opportunities to play high school sports. Basketball was available to her in high school, and she excelled. She was mostly self-taught and developed many of her skills playing with the boys, where she held her own. In addition to high school, Kay played in the YMCA Church League with a team called the South Millville Lassies. Kay was named first team All-Tournament in 1951 and most outstanding player in 1952. Kay was the outstanding female athlete in high school, graduating in 1953. She graduated from Washington College in 1956. While there, she participated in field hockey, basketball, and badminton. She worked as a chemist, a certified Braille instructor, and transcribed textbooks for children. Kay became an accomplished golfer and bowler, winning several club championships. Kay and her husband, Jim Ayers, and have one daughter, Susan. And tonight, Susan is here to accept the award on Kay's behalf. So, Sue, please come on up.
Okay. Geez, I have to go first. So nervous. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say that it's a privilege and an honor to be here tonight to accept this award on behalf of my mother, Kay. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here tonight due to a health issue, but she does want me to say a couple of things. Firstly, she'd like to give a big thanks to the Thunderbolt Club and all of the volunteers and organizers and everybody that put together this wonderful evening for us all. She's very honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame and to join some of her fellow classmates and some family members that are previously inducted. Her husband and my dad, Jim, who's here tonight, he was a member of the 1952 3 and 4 football team. So he's in here 3 times. Her brother Richard also was a member of the football team, and my cousin Dina was a standout field hockey player in the late 70s. And I don't know if Coach McCarthy's here tonight.
With her granddaughters watching field hockey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell her if the 84 field hockey team gets in one of these years, then I'll be in there too. So we'll have the whole fam bam. She also, my mother, wanted to congratulate all of the other inductees tonight on their great achievement. As was read on my mom's plaque, she graduated high school, 70 years ago. So there weren't a lot of opportunities back then for women sports teams or in sports in general for women. So she, made the best of it and played with the boys. But she did want to make sure that I said that how very glad she was to be recognized as a female athlete and not just, called a tomboy like back in the day. So, as was said on her plaque, she was a great basketball player, later in life, an avid bowler and golfer. She won many club championships out at Centerton Golf Club. She also was a pretty good fisherwoman, too. She enjoyed going fishing with my dad a lot, and her bestie of 70 years, the late Shirley Boyle. But most importantly, she was a great mom. And on behalf of the entire Ayers family, I just want to say congratulations. We love you very much. So thank you all again on behalf of my mom. And congrats to all the other inductees tonight for this wonderful honor. And go Bolts.
Great job, Sue. This is the one. So we need O'Connell. So, one thing I forgot to mention, you'll see on the back wall 2 things in remembrance of Tim Shannon. And I was remiss on not saying anything. We lost Tim this year, sadly to say. And Tim was instrumental in the Thunderbolt Club, in the building of this building. And, we miss him very much. But he is a Lifetime Achievement Award winner, inductee for the Thunderbolt Club Sports Hall of Fame. And, I wrote his plaque, and Tim epitomized the term Lifetime Achievement for the Millville Sports Hall of Fame. So how about a round of applause for Tim? Okay, our next inductee is from the 1960s, O'Connell Brown. O'Connell Brown was an outstanding scholar athlete at Millville High School, graduating in 1960. Competing in track and field, O'Connell excelled in the sprint events. In 1960, O'Connell was the state champion in the 100-yard dash at 9.9 seconds, a state record. The state champion in the 200-yard dash at 21.6 seconds, a state record. A member of the 1960 state champion 880 relay team, a member of the mile relay champions at the 1960 Penn Relays, the 1960 South Jersey Coaches Invitational Relays champion, the 1960 Atlantic City Carnival Relays champion, the 1960 Woodbay Relays champion, and the 1960 Bridgeton Carnival Relays champion. So he was a champion. Dubbed the best dash man in South Jersey by Coach John Choco, O'Connell was also the Thunderbolt Award winner in track and field in 1960 and was named a living legend by the Port Norris Historical Society in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, O'Connell Brown.
Good evening. I'd like to thank, am I speaking loud enough for everyone here? I'd like to thank the Thunderbolt Club for this honor, receiving the award and recognition. Just trying not to get too emotional. As you get older, you'll understand what I'm saying. I'd like to thank the family and the friends, and especially want to say something about Richard Smith for completing the nomination for this honor. Moving on, I would like to say during that time in 1960, we're going back a lot of years, the coach John Choco and the teammates that I had, we'll talk about Randy Marshall, Cliff Wise, Vic Sages, Wilbur Green, Kirby Carmichael. I can't say this without talking about these guys. We were that almost like a family. Going to the relays, pushing one another. You take the 100-yard dash and the 220. We had West Patience used to run the mile, and he would just about beat me in the 100 yards if I didn't really look over and see him. That's how good the guys were at that time. So we also had, like they were saying, South Jerseys in the States. When we got there, they knew we were there. We only get 5 minutes, but I just wanted to mention again about Coach Choco. You mentioned mentors. He was that with all the guys on the track spot. Anything you want, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. And you knew he would do it. We lived in Port Norris at that time. There was no transportation. Saturday morning, he'd be right there bright and early picking us up to go. I don't know whether he got paid for it or whatever, but we were young at that time and we didn't know. So, but you just took it for granted. He would be there. Words of encouragement. If you get down, he would pick you up. I just can't stand here without bringing up Mr. Choco. I say again, family. There's 4 generations of my family that's been able to come here, so that's telling you my age. I mean, 81, you know, be 82 coming up. The Lord spares and let us get up. You thank him, you know, you thank him every morning that you open those eyes and climb out of bed. I'm not going to hold up much longer. As I said, it's an honor. I appreciate it very much. And I say again, thank you.
Great job. Congratulations.
All right. From the 1970s is Cliff Johnson. I have several people we're going to be bringing up tonight to speak on Cliff's behalf, and then also to receive the award on Cliff's behalf. 1970s, though, Cliff Johnson. Cliff Johnson was an outstanding scholar athlete at Millville Senior High School, graduating in 1970 and winning 3 varsity letters on the boys basketball team. Cliff was a junior starter on the 1968-69 basketball team who won the South Jersey Group 4 championship and finished with the best record ever at Millville High School, 26-1. That year, Cliff averaged 15 points per game and was named third team All-State. It was stated that Cliff could take over any basketball game in which Alan Shaw was not dominating during that year. As a senior, Cliff was a co-captain and averaged 23 points per game for the team, which finished with a 23-4 record. He was 5th in scoring in South Jersey, but had the highest point total. At that time, his points per game average was 9th on the New Jersey all-time list. He also averaged 16 rebounds per game and shot 77% from the free throw line. Cliff was named first team All-South Jersey and was the Millville Thunderbolt Club scholarship winner that year. For a career, Cliff became the 3rd player in Millville High School history to score over 1,000 points. Total points were 1,146 scored, and at that time was the 2nd highest point scorer in school history. He amassed a 66-9 record while in high school and was named to the All-Century team of the Cape Atlantic League. As president of his senior class, he received a full scholarship to Temple University. That was Cliff Johnson. I'm going to first call up Dr. Ed Salmon to speak on Cliff Johnson's behalf. Dr. Salmon, please.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's certainly an honor for me to be here as Cliff's basketball coach. It's interesting, Cliff Johnson, 6'5", high school all-state basketball player at Millville Senior High School. At age 24, I was starting my 2nd year as the head basketball coach at Millville, and I met a young man named Cliff Johnson. He was a sophomore transfer student coming in from New York City to live in South Jersey and in Millville, New Jersey. He lived with his grandmother, who I spent a lot of time with, and she was just a remarkable lady who raised Cliff, and his brother came with him, Milt Johnson. So it was 2 brothers. I have to be honest with you. His basketball skills as a sophomore was awful. He had trouble competing against any one of our players. But he was 6'5", and he could jump out of the gym. And he made a commitment with me that he was going to work every day on his game. And he became one of Millville's greatest basketball players because of that attitude and that desire to be the best. His sophomore year, he played JV and varsity. But as I said, he dedicated 1 whole year, that sophomore year, to becoming a great player. Played in all the summer leagues, was on that court every day, and totally dedicated. He became, without question, one of New Jersey's best high school players. His junior year, as was said by Dave, he was 26 wins and 1 loss. His teammates were Alan Shaw, Bob Hutchings, Bob Gant, Bill Hughes, Bob Porch, Bob Davies, Bob Abbott, and Dave Parr. His senior year, which we weren't supposed to be that good because we lost an All-American, first-team All-American, and Alan Shaw. We were 23-4 and in the state finals, losing our final game in Princeton University at the Jadwick Gym. His teammates then were Bob Abbott, Bob Gant, Bruce Wilson, Jim Nixon, his brother Milt Johnson, Richie Gant, Steve Clark, and Bill Wallace. Think of that. 2 years he led the Millville Thunderbolts to 49 wins and 5 losses. But, you know, the one thing that makes me think more of Cliff than anything, think of this. Millville is a white town. It's 93% white. And it was that way in that year. And Cliff Johnson became elected president of his 1970 senior class. How do you do that? I'll tell you how he did it. He had a personality that everyone loved. He treated everyone with kindness and respect, and he worked for everybody. If you wanted to ask anybody in that class, they all voted for Cliff Johnson. Quite an accomplishment in 1970, if you think about it, to have that happen. Bobby Abbott, if Bobby Abbott would come up, I just want to say a word about Bobby Abbott. Bobby Abbott was his teammate. Bob Abbott helped us win the Johnstown tournament. That's another story you probably don't know. We had people in Millville. We were invited to the big Johnstown Classic Christmas tournament. And it's held in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. They invite the 4 best teams in a 4-state region. We went there, and the people in Millville said we weren't going to win, and we'd embarrass the town. And we couldn't. Why are we playing in such an esteemed tournament as that? End result, and Bob's one of those main reasons, and Cliff was one of those main reasons. The bottom result was we did win the Johnstown tournament. The bottom result was we had a 26-1 year. And it's my privilege to present a great, great athlete at Millville, both in football and basketball, my good friend Bob Abbott.
Thank you. Cliff had a tremendous personality. And it was at the time in Millville, with everything going on with, you know, the trouble that went on with the whites and the blacks and all that stuff, especially when I got to college the following year, we never had that, man. We were all really tight. And I stayed close with him for most of his life. I was kind of sorry he went to Temple. It was a pretty rough place then. I just would have hoped he went to a place that had a campus, because he was so talented, and he kept everybody up in every game. I mean, he never got defeated mentally, and he passed on his love for the game. And yeah, he was voted a head of the class, and went back. He had trouble at Temple, and it's a tough school being in the city. But he went back to New York, and I did talk with him later in life and everything. And I just know he could have killed anywhere, man. And I know a lot of the basketball players in those days that knew of him that played in Maryland. John Lucas, Tom McMillan, who was in that Johnstown tournament. They all remembered him real well. But he was a really great friend of mine. And, he's missed, like a lot of my friends, you know. But I got some good ones still around. And got anything to say, Porchy? Yeah, come on, tell that one story. I like that one. All right, man.
All right. Yeah, Dr. Salmon and Bob, thank you for speaking on Cliff's behalf. Here in attendance are Cliff's sister-in-law, Diane Johnson, and his niece, Michaela Johnson. If I can have them come up to receive his plaque and to take our picture. Come on up. Let's put our hands together, please.
Ready? Okay, looking at me on three. 1, 2, 3, and one more.
So, something else I forgot to say. Coach Tony Cerace and his wife, Barb, are celebrating 56 years of marriage today. So I was born in 1956, but, you know, that's another story. Okay, I need... Oh, one other thing. So these plaques and stuff, where'd Audrey go? Audrey, please stand up. Audrey has become basically the photographer for the Millville Thunderbolt Club. Does a great job, helps out with the plaques, produces the plaques, does a phenomenal job. Thank you very much, Audrey. We really appreciate it. And also I'd like to thank Chuck Weibel. Most of you guys know Chuck Weibel, who also does, I mean, you know, me and Coach Cerace, we couldn't do this stuff. Chuck Weibel does it. So he helps us out too. And how about a round of applause for Chuck? Thank you. Okay, our next inductee from the 1990s, John Pellicetti Jr. John Pellicetti Jr. had a remarkable athletic career at Millville High School. From 1995 through 1999, he earned 12 varsity letters in football, wrestling, and baseball. That's 4 for each, right? He was captain of all 3 sports his senior year. John was a 3-year starter at linebacker for the football team, leading the team in tackles his junior and senior year, and being named All-Conference, All-Group 4, and All-South Jersey his senior year in 1998. As a wrestler, John was a 4-year starter and finished his career with 90 wins. He was a District 31 champion and finished second in Region 8 his senior year. John finished 5th in the state championships that year. John was also a 4-year starter in baseball, earning All-Conference, All-Group 4, and All-South Jersey his junior year. He was selected to play in the prestigious Carpenter Cup as well. He and his wife Joy have 2 sons, Logan and Dalton. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Pellicetti Jr.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. I just want to start by thanking the Thunderbolt Club and the Hall of Fame Committee. I want to congratulate all the other inductees tonight. Have a good class going in. I was very fortunate to have a strong support system growing up, and that consisted of my dad, my mom, and my older brother, Nick. It started with my dad. He led by example. He was always coach or assistant coach or heavily involved with the team or sport I was playing at the time. My dad taught me to not make excuses for myself and be accountable for your actions when you're on the field or on the mat, in winning and losing. My dad has been battling some health problems, and he's not here with us tonight. But I know he'll be watching this on TV. So, Dad, when you see this program, I really respect what you did for me, and I just want to say thank you. I was also very fortunate to have a great group of coaches during my 4 years. Football, Coach Race, Coach Heck, Coach Andrews, Coach Trout, Coach Hogan, Coach Sharpless, Coach Nugent, Coach Mack, Coach Williams, and Coach Corson. For wrestling, Coach Tenbrook, Coach Brown, Coach Corson, Coach Saul, Coach Layton, and for baseball, Coach Trout, Coach Hollenbeck, Coach Andrews, Coach Williams, Coach Cavanaugh, and Coach Gentile. When Coach Race called me a few months ago to give me the good news that I was being inducted, I started reflecting on my career at Millville High School, and it brought a smile to my face. It was a great time in my life. I had a ton of fun. It was a lot of hard work. I have zero regrets when it comes to my high school sports career. Just to touch on a few things that I was very proud during my career. Obviously, the 12 varsity letters was very special to me. Wearing the number 33 was a big honor in my career. Being in the conversation with Dave Sharpless, Jim McCormick, Gene DeMorat, and carrying on the tradition of being an all-conference middle linebacker at Millville was also something special for me. So I just want to give a special thanks tonight to my people who came out to support me, my older brother Nick and my niece Gabby. Gabby played soccer at the University of Tampa. My best friend Jeff and his son Adam, who's becoming a heck of a hockey player. And my oldest son Logan is here with me tonight, and he's becoming a good wrestler and a baseball player in his own right. So just wanted to say thanks again to the Thunderbolt Club, the Hall of Fame committee. I really appreciate it, and being a Thunderbolt will always have a special place in my heart. Thank you, guys.
Great job, man. Great job. Hey, listen. I think you spelled your name. We're going to take a photo to you. Very good. Congratulations. Yep. Dave, you have Melissa, right? Yeah. Who's coming up for the track team?
Bill.
Okay.
Our next inductee is a young lady I actually had a chance to watch her compete. That doesn't happen too often, but I can tell you, well-deserved honor. I'm going to read from our next inductee's plaque, and from the 2000s, Melissa Gail Mann. All right. Melissa Gale graduated from Millville in 2006, where she starred in indoor and outdoor track, specializing in the pole vault. Upon graduation, she held the indoor and outdoor Millville and Cape Atlantic League records. She was undefeated in career dual meets with a record of 26-0, and was a three-time All-Conference Cape Atlantic League champion, county champion, and Penn Relays qualifier. Melissa won the indoor state title in 2005 and was the two-time relay state champion in 2005 and 2006. In 2005, she was the outdoor sectional champion. Melissa was named the Daily Journal and Millville News Winter Track Athlete of the Year in both 2005 and 2006. She led the team in points scored in 2005 and 2006. She received an academic and athletic scholarship to Temple University, where she continued to pole vault and graduated with the indoor and outdoor records while winning 2 conference titles. Melissa is currently the head track and field coach in Mantillo, North Carolina, where she resides with her husband Tanner and their 2 children, Blake and Pennington. Melissa Gale Mann. Melissa.
Thank you. You're not going to get a big speech from me because I already feel like I'm going to throw up. I changed my major in college to not do public speaking, so yeah. I do want to say thank you to the committee for bestowing me with this honor. It is definitely a huge deal, and I'm very thankful for that. I also want to thank my family, my mom for always being there for me, my brother for making me want to try to make my own name because I was called Dan Gale's little sister for the entire time I was in high school. And then a big deal for is my dad, who when also Coach Hoover, because I stopped doing gymnastics and would have never even thought of pole vaulting if he didn't say, you like to throw your body around and are crazy, so go for it. So thanks for that. But my dad, who went out and got certified to coach pole vaulting because I said I wanted to try this crazy sport. So that's a huge deal to me and a big thank you there. It's also a huge honor to be coming into the Hall of Fame with him as well. So that is just really, really emotional for me. I guess that's about it because, like I said, I don't like to speak. So with whatever remaining time I have, I'll yield it to him because you know he's not going to stop speaking. So thank you very much.
Great job. Great job. It's a little known fact that I always feel like I'm going to throw up before I speak to the public too. It's a joke. Thanks, buddy. New board member doesn't understand the politics of being on the board of directors. Okay. The next inductee is one of our teams. Each and every year we induct a team, usually a state title team, to the Sports Hall of Fame. So this year it's actually the 1998 boys track and field team. The 1998 Millville High School boys track and field team finished with a regular season record of 8-2 and earned the NJSI AA Group 4 state championship with Elizabeth. Following a second-place finish at the South Jersey Group 4 sectional championship meet and led by outstanding performances by juniors Robert Jordan, Raphael Craig, and Troy Maddox, the Thunderbolts emerged as the first Millville High School boys track and field team to win the state championship. Coached by Bill Hoover, the members of this team were Nick Carisco, Nick Tarasevich, Jamal Wallace, DeAndre Bogan, Josh Lamatier, Jason Camp, Matt Davis, Matt Sartorio, Mario Santiago, Zim Smith, Wes Jordan, Charles Harper, Anthony Victor, Nate Parent, Andre Lee, Terrence Williams, Al Chard, and Dan DiTullio. Accepting the award for the 1998 boys track and field team will be Coach Bill Hoover. He promised me he would only speak for 5 minutes. So somebody put a timer on him.
You know better. Anyway, still hold the record, by the way, for the longest speech ever given.
We actually call it the Hoover-Caldwell rule
Hoover Caldwell.
about the 5-minute speech amount.
I beat Al. First off, the two craziest people I knew when I was growing up as a young kid were Craig and Ricky Atkinson's brother. Let's just get that straight right now, okay? You guys were, anyway, we played street ball. You guys were nuts. Anyway, Timmy Shannon, I love Timmy. When he was 5 years old, he almost got me kicked off Patrol Boys. Literally, he was 5 years old. We're horsing around on the corner. Lieutenant Baum came around, saw me. He says, "Hoover, turn in your badge. You're done." And I said to myself, even as like a fifth grader, I said, "Well, Baumy's too old to remember any of this." So I never turned in my badge, and sure enough, I stayed on the thing. But that was Timmy. Anyway, you talk about bleeding orange and blue, and you talk about legacy, and you talk about all that stuff. And I'm sitting there watching this ceremony today, and it's just like, oh my gosh, all the inductees and everybody. There's some connection to all of them. I coach Connell's kids and stuff, and in track. I live in Morristown for 47 years. I used to go to stop at the Marina Bar to get a beer down in Shell Pile. Right? To this day, I've never paid for a beer in the Marina Bar. I'd go in the Marina Bar, they'd go, "Yo, coach, get him a beer," and we'd laugh and chuckle and stuff. The Gales, I coached with Danny. Danny was one of our coaches. Coached Melissa. What a wonderful family of people they are. Looking at the other inductees, I went to school with John's dad. I know I'm forgetting all the other ones that have already been up here, but it's just, there's a continuity to it all. There's just a continuity to it all. And the people who've been around and bleed the orange and blue, they understand that, and it's so important. It really is. It's emotional. But other than that, I'll try to get this done. Okay. I want to thank the athletic director, Dave, the administration, and Danny, our trainer. Those guys over the years did a phenomenal job supporting Millville sports. Always have, still do, and it's phenomenal. And what they've done over here on the track and the stuff is just amazing. That's just amazing. Want to thank all the parents of all the kids we ever coached and the community and everybody for their support. Thank the Shannon family. Every time we went to a national championship, we flew to Dallas, we flew to Florida, we flew all over the place, cost tons of money, and they didn't want it known. They kept it private, but every year the Shannon family would kick in a fair amount of money to help us pay for stuff. And Jack Zellers, bless his heart, Jack Zellers would always get the Elks Club, and the Elks would always kick in a little bit of money to help pay for hotel rooms and all that stuff. So this community has supported their sports forever. They always have, and I imagine they probably always will. Coaching. Coaches, the old cliche, we stand on the shoulders of giants. None of us invented coaching. We all inherit something and stuff. And I was just writing down the list of people that I can think of who I coached with or who helped teach you to coach, taught you something. And I'm looking at the list, and it's like Ed Salmon, Bob Campbell, Ron Vinnick, Tony Cerace, Al Caldwell, Rich Keppel, Paul Sansalone, Bill Shaughnessy, Rusty Corson, Mike Thomas. It's just great guys, and they shared everything they had. They never held anything back. I got to work with Steve Horn, who's getting inducted tonight. Steve and I have known each other since church league when we banged heads on the court playing ball. Taught with him for years. It's just a wonderful experience. It really is. The other thing, people have been in the field of coaching. Your families, people who don't do it have no idea what your families deal with. You know what I mean? It's a commitment that is really hard for some people to understand. I coached 113 seasons of high school sports. I did 32 seasons of 3 sports in a row. And we would meet people when my daughter Katie's in the back of the room. We would meet people when the kids were like 12 or 15. They'd compliment and say, yo, you got great kids. And my wife would go, he had nothing to do with it. he said he was coaching, teaching night school, summer school. He had nothing to do with it. We used to joke and say, and she'd take him 5 steps ahead every year, and then I'd get him in the summer for 2 months, and I'd bring him 3 steps back. That was the basic standard. So, but anyway, so I do appreciate the family sacrifices a tremendous amount. The first year Kath and I were married, she rode on the bus with us to the state track meet in South Plainfield. You know, the second year she rode on the bus to the state track meet in South Plainfield. We're coming home from South Plainfield. She leans over very quietly. She says, "I don't think I have to do this anymore." and that was it. She didn't have to do it anymore. So, but okay, see, this is why it takes so long. This is why the talk takes so long. So I'm trying to not just be too serious. Anyway, let me move on here now. I want to thank coaches from other schools who always helped us, and Danny Gale knows this because Danny was one of those guys as a coach. Danny Gale would help any kid from any school in the pole vault that he could. It wouldn't matter who it was. It wouldn't matter if they were our opponent. Wouldn't matter if it was a close meet. Danny Gale would do anything to help any kid, and consequently, there were other coaches on other teams who respected Danny, who would do the same thing for our kids. You know, when our good high jumpers, Rob and Raph, who to this day still have the 2 best high jumps in the history in the United States. Nobody's ever jumped higher than them. To this day, there's a coach at Lenape, and Porch will remember his name. I forget his name, but we called him Hoagie Nose. But anyway, he was a great high jump coach, and he would coach our kids. He would coach our kids for 2-3 years. He coached our kids at every meet, anytime he could, to help them out and do something to help them, even though our kids were beating his kids. And that's why most of us all do it. You know, that's all part of what it's all about. I just want to this is the last chance I'm going to get to talk because this is our last team. So I ain't going to get to talk anymore. You know, that's it. So anyway, okay, next. I was writing all this down. It dawned on me, and for the guys on the team that are here, for the people on the team and the managers who are here tonight, this is a quarter of a century ago. You know, you just don't think of it that way. And then it was like, damn, this was a quarter of a century ago. These guys are old, man. These kids are old. I'm wearing the hat, the back-to-back hat. This is a 24-year-old hat I'm wearing, you know? Anyway, put that down. So anyway. Yeah, it's shabby. But anyway, and there's one thing I do have to get off my chest. For 24 years, for 25 years, I've been taking crap from friends or other coaches and friends who are other coaches of other sports who would say about this 98 team, this 1998 team, they go, "Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you won a championship, what, with 3 guys, you know? You won a championship with 3 guys. Robert Jordan, Raphael Craig, Troy Maddox." That'd be, well, yeah, but they keep score. I mean, you still compete, you keep score, right? And every great team I know that won a championship, and the 2 of the greats are right here, you had a couple guys that were truly great guys. And if you pull them out of the mix, that game's a little tougher, you know? And so in track and field, just to wrap it up a little bit, for this 1998 team to win this championship, the first round of the state playoffs, right? The first round of the state playoffs, there are 45 Group 4 schools that you compete against, the whole state. And Group 4 was the biggest, at then, Group 4 were the biggest schools. 45 of the biggest schools. In the first round of the playoffs, there are 2,090 individuals who are capable of scoring points in the meet. 2,090. The top 6 move on to the next round. In the next round, which is the final round, right, there are 480 individuals in the meet who are capable of scoring points. And the points are 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. But there's that many kids who are competing against each other from the whole state, head to head, from the biggest schools in the state. So, to Troy, who's here tonight, where's Troy? Troy, where's Troy? Troy. To Troy, who's here, Raph couldn't be here, Rob couldn't be here. They scored our points. Those three guys went into that meet, and they beat enough people by a big enough margin that they were able to walk home with that title, you know? So, good job, man. Good job. And to all the other kids and the managers who are here tonight, right? I'll say this. When you win the Super Bowl, they all get the ring. The guy that sat the bench, he's going to get a ring. Guy was on the practice squad, is going to get a ring. They all get the Super Bowl ring. It didn't matter if you threw the winning touchdown or not. They were part of an important, memorable thing that will never be taken away from you. Our managers can say they managed the state championship team, and that can never be taken away. You know, if you win the World Series, you get to ride in the parade. Doesn't matter if you played in the game or you didn't play in the game. You know, so to all you others that came tonight from that team, bless you. Live with it. Be proud of it, right? And you can always say, man, I was on the state championship team, so that was wonderful. And the 98 team is the one that set the pace. They were the first one. It was 98, 99, 01. But 98 set the pace. And then they helped train the younger kids what you had to do to get it done. If it was all coaching, fortunately, I'll tell you, we would have won every year. You know, we won 3 out of 4. No, we ain't won since. So, but anyway, okay. The other thing, one of our mottos was coaching with these guys. One of our mottos was don't screw them up. That was a simple concept in coaching. Don't screw them up. We knew those guys weren't that good because of us. We knew that. Troy Maddox is a gifted athlete. Rob and Red, they were gifted. And it wasn't because we were doing something different with them. I mean, it was like, well, don't be stupid enough to think that we're the reason they're good. You know, like, don't screw them up. Let's just stick with the program, make them confident, make them believe in themselves, be competitive, and then teach them all the basic stuff you teach kids, you know. One of my great memories, Penn relays. The old Penn relay high jump coach was an old guy. He was about 80 years old, man. He'd been there forever. And junior year, Robin Radford at the Penn relays. Robert wins his Penn relays. He gets voted the male field athlete of the year for the Penn relays. He wins the Penn relays with the highest high jump any North American high jumper ever had. He still has that. And when the meet's over, I get to go down on the field, you know, because he wins and Raph's second or whatever, you know. So I go down, and this old guy walks over, and I'd known him from the year before. He walks over, and as a coach, these are the things you live or die for. As a coach, this guy walked over to me, and he said, Coach, I want to tell you. He said, your 2 high jumpers are 2 of the very nicest high school kids that I have ever had the pleasure of working with here at the high jump. It's like, okay, good. Robert won, male athlete of the meet, but I mean, that's priceless. You know, that's just priceless. And if everybody knows Robin Raff, that's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, so I want to recognize real quick. We've got I recognize Troy. Where's Mario? Mario Santiago. Where's Mario? Mario, stand up, Mario. Mario is one of 3 guys who was on the 1998, 1999, and 2001 state championships teams. Mario was on all 3 state championship teams, one of 3 guys. You calling him up? Calling him up? Troy, come on up. Mario, come on up. Where's Al? Al Chard. Al, part of 2 of the teams, if I'm not mistaken, 98, 99. Yep. Al Chard, good runner. Nowhere near as crazy as some of these other guys. Well, anyway, it's debatable. And special guest tonight, he's from Arizona, and unfortunately, tragically, his younger brother passed away. so he's coming up for his brother's funeral. But he's here tonight, DeAndre Bogan. Where's DeAndre? DeAndre, come on up, buddy. Second fastest sprinter in the state of New Jersey that year. Second fastest sprinter, lost only to, I believe it was mainland kid. John, what was his name? John Stone. John Stone from mainland. He remembers his name. 25 years later, that's carved in him. John Stone, right. DeAndre, second fastest guy in the state. And DeAndre's brother, Irvin, is sitting in the back, and he graduated in 95, and Irvin was second fastest kid in the state as well. So quite a family, quite a family. I want to recognize my daughter, Katie Hoover. Come on up, Kate. You're manager of the team. She was, Katie was a very good soccer player in high school. She was my swim manager and a track manager, and believe me, she kept me well organized and well disciplined.
Except I couldn't shut him up.
Nobody can.
And then our other manager is Keisha Colborn Myrick, right? Keisha, where are you? Keisha. And Keisha was our other manager. And I just think it's wonderful. That the managers and stuff 25 years later care enough to still be part of being recognized and part of what that was in that championship. So you were state championship. Keisha, thank you. Okay, I'm almost done. Honest, I am. Almost done. The nice thing about some of these kids is a lot of these people are, I know, they're passing it forward. I see them on Facebook. They got great families. They raise great kids. They coach. They're involved. They're involved in their communities, and they're doing the things you hope that you want kids to do that you coach and stuff. Now, now that I've spoken, Bob Porch wants to say a few words, and he won't be anywhere near as long as
Yeah, I'll be very brief. One of the things that we weren't supposed to win the first one, so that meant a lot, number one. But I stopped to think about it, and the makeup of the kids on the team, it's a great sport because you have kids that are assembled together that would never be together, would never socialize with each other, but for the fact they're part of this team. And I think that's the beauty of it, really. And I'm going to go off script here a little bit and try not to get too emotional. We have great memories. The people we grew up with, the people we coached. And I lost a very good friend this year, Bob Hutchings. And I'll say to you, cherish the relationship. Make sure you get on the phone. Make sure you take the time to go see somebody and tell them you love them. And I think that's important. And let me just reiterate, thanks to the Thunderbolt Club and the Hall of Fame, and thank you very much.
Who's going to hold the flag?
Give it to Mario.
We don't have to be fully symmetrical. Never worried on the plate, so. All right.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations, Mario. Congratulations. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
That monster, I think it'll help Mario.
Now. Just a reminder, all the inductees, after the ceremony's over, please report to Marjorie for a group picture for the whole team.
All right. All right. And our next Our next honoree from the coach category is Coach Steve Horn. Steve, all right. Steve Horn coached 26 seasons at the freshman, junior varsity, and varsity levels. He coached freshman football and basketball teams to undefeated seasons. His freshman boys basketball teams compiled a record of 159 wins, 74 losses over 12 seasons. As a varsity girls basketball coach, his 1989-1990 team won the Cape Atlantic League title with a 17-5 record, and overall he was 31-15. The team also won the league sportsmanship award. He was a Courier Post Coach of the Week and the Daily Journal Coach of the Year. Steve was the head boys basketball coach for 4 years, highlighted by a huge victory over powerful Atlantic City. This team also won the Sportsmanship Award. A native of Millville, Steve played football in high school, graduating in 1970. Following college, he returned to teach in the district for 37 years. He and his wife, Diane, have 2 daughters, Amy and Krista, and 3 grandchildren, Tyler, Macy, and Andrew. Steve Horn. Come on up, Steve.
I was going to ask Bill to yield me some time, but I guess that's out of the question. A lot of what Bill said is totally true. Your families go through an awful lot, and I'm very fortunate to have a family who support me all the time. I'd like to thank Dave, Greg, Coach Serace, the entire Thunderbolt committee for this nomination. It's kind of a strange path for me to get to this point. Never thought I would be here. I had plans of teaching elementary school. Bob Miskelly hired me. When I was right out of college, he said, "We don't have a gym and we don't have a cafeteria. We don't have any fields, but we'd like you to do something with the kids with sports. Would you like that?" I said, "Sure, I love sports." So we had a flag football league and a bowling league and took kids to the Phillies game and whatnot. A few years later, Coach Serace called me and said, "Would you like to coach football?" I'm like, "Oh my, that's a little out of my league, but let's give it a shot." So I started coaching football with Billy Shaughnessy, and Bill was the head freshman coach and a great mentor, a great communicator. Most of the people, coaches here, taught my children, coached my children, and it was just a great experience. Then a few years later, they said, "Well, how would you like to coach freshman basketball?" Well, it wasn't freshman, it was JV basketball. And I said, "Sure, it sounds good." And I started working with Fred Setzer. He was the head coach. Joe Durrell was assistant. And then Joe took over, and I'll tell you, it was a pleasure working with both Joe and Fred. Along the way, I didn't have the most impressive resume coming out of Culver School, to say, "Hey, I coached flag football," or something, right? But Joe and Fred were great head coaches. I learned a lot from them. Fred ran the Kentucky offense, which I still don't understand. I had like 12 different options and whatnot. And then a couple years later, Mr. Salmon, I'm not sure how he contacted me, but he said, "If you really want to find out what kind of coach you are, you ought to take the freshman program." So I said, "Okay, we'll go this way." And so I took the freshman program. But I'd like to just say this before I go any further. My wife, Diane, I skipped this, and I don't want to skip this. My wife, Diane, has supported me along the way, whether it be taking kids to Summer League in Ocean City or Shaw League or Sacred Heart Summer Leagues, taking kids up to Cherry Hill. We had player recognition for each month for the player of the month. And Diane would always go with me there, and she watched hundreds of games. And even coaching the freshmen, the kids would sometimes not always wash their uniforms, and we looked a little shabby. So I would bring them home. And back then we had like 18 kids on a team. And on our clothesline on Sub Street would be all these orange and blue uniforms. And the neighbors were kind of like, wonder what's going on. But I always appreciate her support. Of course, my two daughters, Krista and Amy. Krista came up from Maryland for this occasion, and Amy surprised me flying up from Texas today, pulled in the yard about 2 o'clock, and my grandson Tyler came with her. And while I'm speaking, I'm hoping that my other grandchildren, Macy and Andrew, are watching in Texas. And shout out to you, Macy and Andrew. We'll see you in a few days. And I just appreciate all the support, as Bill said, of the family. And it just means a whole lot when you're coaching. So anyway, back to the freshman situation. So after Ed said that, I said, well, we'll take the freshmen, and I ended up being there for 10 or 11 years. And I just want to mention a couple of the teams that we had at that freshman level. We had a couple of undefeated teams, and we also had a couple of teams that lost only 1 or 2 games. And there was a period of 5 years where the kids that we had at that level won 93 out of 100 games. And that was 5 different teams, not one team, 5 different teams. But a couple of the players, Chris Albertson and a young man named Doc Rowe, were on one team, and Sam and Tim Allen and Shane Harris, Brian Powers were on another team. But I don't know if you know Sam and Tim Allen. It was kind of like having Charles Barkley and LeBron James at the freshman level. I mean, the biggest thing I did that year was put the names in a book and say, go get them. Those 2 kids were like powerhouses inside. I mean, they were built like pro athletes at the 9th grade level. So after a few years at the freshman level, 10 to be exact, I get another call saying that there's a varsity position open in the boys. And I was saying, boy, it'd be nice to follow up one of these teams up there, but that didn't happen. And so they offered me the girls' position, and I said, sure, I'll be glad to take the girls' position. And I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work out, but we gave it a shot. And the first year, there were only 6 varsity girls. And if you're talking about sports, even if you're playing fantasy football, you get injuries, and it's really tough. But there were 6 girls who were on varsity, and we pulled up a couple of JV kids to fill out the roster. Reverend Dave Niesner, we needed coaches, so he volunteered to coach. Bruce Garden volunteered to coach, and we went into the season just not knowing what to expect, and that group of kids ended up with a 14-9 record. The next year, they beefed things up a little bit for me, and Dr. Thompson, Christy Thompson, came on board to help coach. Tina Shannon came on board, so we had some really good athlete coaches on the staff at that time. And if you can imagine playing 45 games and only having 6 kids, it gets a little difficult. If one's sick or one's hurt, or if there's any kind of injury, it's difficult. But those kids, 45 games, I think one girl missed 1 game. And they had an impressive record in the sense that they played Mainland, who went to the state championships the first year, and they beat them both times they played them. We played teams like Shawnee, who was number 1 in the state and undefeated. We did not beat them. But we had a tough schedule with our conference, was one of the best. At the end of that year, there were 3 teams, Ocean City, Vineland, and Millville, who were tied going into the last week for the conference title. We just happened to play Ocean City first, and then Vineland after them at Vineland. And in both of those games, the kids played unbelievable defense, held both of those teams under 50 points. And Vineland had a girl named Ina Nicosia who went on to play in the pros, and Marcy Dormstetter, who many maybe know her, who were just fabulous players, and our team rose to the occasion to be vying for the championship. But all in all, it was an amazing path that I was able to take because there were just so many people along the way that helped me. Coach Race, you know, I learned an awful lot from him in just a few years with football. And I just wanted to mention a few of the other people that were helpful. Anthony Finelli, Paul Sanslow, Bob Sirocco, Roy Hombach, Chris Ritter, all helped out in that year. Fred Melendez was an unbelievable reporter. I don't know what it's like now, but it was great back then. Fred always covered us very well. Bill Bragg, let me just say this. The girls on that team were Noelle DeMorat, Janelle Kent, Susie Bragg, Rachel Tarasevich, Diane Williams, and Katie Garten. And I coached a lot of good teams. We had a great JV team with Mike Santiago and Kevin Harden, Roland Carter, Larry Hickman, Charlie Hope, who won 17 games. But there was no one tougher and more dedicated than those six girls. If there was 6 inches, 7 inches of snow, it didn't matter. School was closed. They were always at the gym. They were always dependable. Probably the only reason I'm standing here today is because they were so good and so dedicated. And just a couple of facts about them. Noelle, in her last 2 seasons, you talk about 1,000-point scorers. Noelle in the last 2 seasons scored 900 some points, almost 1,000 points just in her last 2 years. She ended up with over 1,300 points. Janelle was a fabulous point guard who not only scored double figures but was an excellent rebounder. Susie was a track star. I think she won the 400 or 440. What would it be? 440. I think she was a state champion, was very quick. Rachel was our inside stop, and Diane a good shooter. Katie was a freshman when she started, and we basically asked her to just fill in any position. And but it was a great experience. But I never expected, when Bob Miskelly hired me, to be able to coach any kind of high school sports. Bob Costello was a pastor at our church, and we ran some youth leagues there and whatever. And he was very helpful. But I was able to coach freshmen, boys and girls. I coached my daughter freshman year, which was a lot of fun, and they had a good season as well. JV boys, varsity boys and girls. And I see people like Troy, and you see them years later, and it's just a great opportunity and a really blessing to be able to work with so many kids at so many different levels. And my family, Jim and Billy, where's Jim and Billy? Back there. We had an advantage, and whenever we needed to scrimmage someone, my cousin Jimmy and Johnny, Jeff and Brian, they would come in and scrimmage the kids, and Jim would always help them with different skills and whatnot. But it was always a family that helped out as well, and I appreciate all the help that they gave to us. I'm just going to quick check this and see if I don't want to skip anyone for any reason. My wife made me write this down because she said I would definitely forget things. I think I did a pretty good job in covering it all. And I'd just like to thank you for this honor. It's unexpected, but greatly appreciated. And to all those people who are involved, I just say thank you very much. Steve. Good picture. Thanks, Ron. I just set this up here for a minute.
Tilt the photograph forward, a little more. Tilt it this way. That's it. Good. On 3. Go one more. Gotcha.
Thank you. This is a deep breath. For you to keep. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. So, our last inductee for the evening. We call this award the Lifetime Achievement Award. And this was an award that the board felt was necessary because of, all the individuals in Millville who, just contribute so much to the athletic teams and sports throughout the city. So we came up with this Lifetime Achievement Award. If you look through the plaques, you're going to see some outstanding individuals who, have won the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year we have Dan Gale. Dan Gale was an outstanding scholar athlete at Millville Senior High School, graduating in 1978. While in high school, Dan participated on the football and track and field teams. Dan began his coaching career at the Holly City Midget Football League and stayed for 19 years. He also coached the pole vault at Millville Senior High School for 10 years and was named Assistant Coach of the Year 2 times by the Daily Journal. Dan also coached area youth in soccer, t-ball, Little League, and Babe Ruth. He was involved in summer track programs and coached high school football in Millville. He served as a volunteer pole vault coach at Temple University and Widener College for 7 years. He currently is an assistant track and field coach at Manteo High School in Manteo, North Carolina. With Dan's coaching throughout his career, the Millville Thunderbolt Club recognizes him with this Lifetime Achievement induction. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Gale.
Okay, a couple things. First off, I've always told my athletes, number one, I'll never lie to them. I'm not started yet. Okay, so we're gonna clear up a couple things really quick. Dan Gale was an outstanding scholar athlete. Bull crap. Okay, Dan Gale was you're a liar then. I was definitely not an outstanding scholar. And athletics, a lot of these coaches will, if they were forced to tell you, I was decent. Okay, so we're going to get. Nah, well, I didn't win the vinyl meet. Al Harden won the vinyl meet. And the other thing was, I coached in Millville for 11 years, but that's okay. That's part of my story. Okay, now, I was originally thought I had 10 minutes. I'm taking 3 of Melissa, so I get 8. Okay, first off, before I start, if I coached any of you or coached with you and you're not mentioned, I apologize. You're all a huge part of my story. The biggest thing I want everybody to get out of this tonight, please, whatever you do affects somebody. And that's where my story is. This is not my lifetime achievement. This is things people have done for me. Okay, first off, Thunderbolt Club and Committee, thank you so much. I am truly humbled and honored. Fellow inductees, outstanding. I am definitely I'm not even worthy of you guys. Family, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, my dad who are no longer with us, my sisters, my kids, Dan and Steph, Melissa and Tanner, my grandkids, Blake, Catherine, Penny and Danny, my nephews, friends, nieces, kids I've coached, all thank you for being here. Special shout out to my mom and my sister Elle, who were my 2 biggest cheerleaders. My wife, Pat. If it wasn't for her, none of this would happen. I share this honor with her. She is great supporting me, we'll put it that way, through everything. Lastly, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for letting me live this long. I have 3 friends, Jerry Bailey, John Reeves, Jimmy Tomlin, never made it out of elementary school. Okay, so I don't know why I'm here. Okay, no one does anything great without the help along the way. People I mentioned are the main reason I'm here tonight. what you may as little things change people's lives forever. 1972, I came out from Major League Football. I was from Leesburg. They told my dad, you're not allowed to play. You're from Ascending District. All those kids do, and it's a quote, is practice for 3 days, steal the uniform, never come back. Bill Reese, called BS, my grandkids were here. BS. Mr. Reese knew my dad. He assured him if I were to quit, number one, I wasn't allowed to quit because my dad would beat my butt. They would get the uniform back, guaranteed. Bill coached the Jets, so somehow I miraculously became on the Jets. So I don't deal with it. I was under season 1 year with Bill McCafferty, a man who never raised his voice. Never. I don't know how he did it. I did not follow in those footsteps. Okay, 1974, I came on the freshman team. Al Caldwell, who would also become my high jump coach, Ins coach Woody Moore, and the main reason I'm here tonight is Bill Shaughnessy. Okay, I was having a very good freshman year. I remember one time I was in the auditorium. Coach Serace was there. Coach Caldwell demonstrated I made a catch against an Oak Crest freshman game. And I'm sitting there watching this thinking, hey, I'm all that. Helmet to the knee. I finished the year because I'm stupid. But I finished, but it changed my life forever. I took a helmet to the knee. Sophomore year, I was a member of the state team. Okay, I was a member. Okay? I was a tackling dummy and got beat up. And Jerry Smith was a wide receiver for Bishop Newman. I had I don't brag, I had great hands. I had great hands before I shattered my fingers. I got the honor of wearing Jerry Smith's uniform that week. And the reward was I got the crap kicked out of me. Okay? Anytime I touched the ball, I got beat up. During that time, I saw some great leaders. Ronnie Lamb, Jim McCormick, Rich Andrews, guys were like ungodly to me. Me and Jimmy had a deal that he didn't know about. The way it worked, everybody had to get a shower. I mean, that was the rule. You had to get a shower after football practice. If you were the worst player on the team, or the youngest player on the team, won't say worst. If you're a sophomore, you're last and you're waiting. Jimmy had his knees taped, so one day for some reason, because I knew I had to sit there for another hour, I took his tape, I threw it away. Jimmy took 2 steps forward and let me sneak behind him to get a shower so I could go home to Leesburg. So that I never will ever forget. But after that, my knee locked. I was done for the year. This is where Bill Shaughnessy basically saved my life. He was my health teacher. He asked me how I was doing. Therapy wasn't what therapy is now. It was work out when you can. Bill says, what are you doing? I said, He goes, okay, every day you go lift. I lifted, came back to class. Then I became a locker monitor. I would go look, make sure the lockers were there, and me and Bill would run 2 miles every day. And for that, there was no way I could ever thank him. The other person I want to publicly thank, I did not know he was here tonight, is Mike James. During my recovery, we weren't great friends before I blew my knee out. He came to my house every day just to hang out, and it probably saved my life because I was in a very dark place, and he became my lifesaver. My high school career had many ups and downs. Ron Shea kept me together with duct tape and WD-40. That was pretty much it. Rich Keppel was a man I greatly admired just for his intestinal fortitude, we'll put it that way. He made a very tough decision when I was on track, and I understood what it was like to be a man of your word. During that year, well, we won the state champion because of Al Harden, or not state, the conference because of Al Harden. That year, this is the other next part, I watched a friend of mine, Terry McCorson, break his back pole vaulting. He missed a pit and was in a body cast for a long time. Now, that was pretty much that for my high school. Now, we get to the other stuff. Grease quote, if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. Okay? That's what I became My wife, my fiance, 42 years, saw an ad in the Midget League program, needed coaches. If anybody knows my wife, don't tell her you want to do something. So after a couple of days of her encouragement, I called Carl Frank. He said, Jets need a coach. So there I went. I walked up. Cat Harris gave me a playbook, pointed to a whole bunch of little kids and said, they're yours. If anyone was on that team at this point, I apologize because I was terrible. Through the years, Hook Ramanishan was one of the coaches. Danny, my son, was born in '83. I never wanted to coach him because I knew I'd be a jerk. I knew I'd be too hard. Melissa was born in '87. The Jets became the Raiders, and I say this humbly, we dominated. Absolutely. Wasn't because of me. Brian Gandy, Rich Andrews, Jim McCormick, Ronnie Lamb, Rich Foreman, Tom Fiend, Dennis Bruno, Paul Davis, George Bowen, Glenn Murray, Bill Elberson, and many more that I can't remember because I'm old. We had a great time. Through those years, these are dad coaching things. MRT baseball, Millville soccer. Our kids were involved. Football, cheerleading, gymnastics, soccer, swimming, baseball, wrestling, softball, track and field. I left Midget League when Danny was in high school, his junior year. Brian called me back. I coached 2 years of practice. I practiced, gave coaches game plans, and went and watched my son play in football. So I didn't coach the kids for games. I just coached practice. I thought that was it. And then Melissa did well in gymnastics. When she went to high school, she started to do track. She did okay her freshman year. Her sophomore year, they started pole vaulting. Bill Hoover and a whole bunch of people said, oh my gosh, you'd be a great pole vaulter. Immediately, one night I picked her up when she was a freshman, picked her up. They had a freshman boy teaching her how to pole vault. I had Terry flashbacks and said, that ain't happening. I'm not letting my daughter get hurt. I went out, got certified, learned by a whole bunch of people, a lot of people. And then I decided if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. I went out, got certified by some of the best people in the world. Hip athletics, a guy named Tom Davis. I went and got certified. I had to, and the other thing is, this is the difference between New Jersey and other states. In New Jersey, you have to have a certain amount of credits to substitute or to coach. I was way short. I took 6 classes in the summer to coach Melissa and the pole vault kids that summer. And like I said, I was not a good student. Tide Curl, Stockton University, phenomenal help. Probably one of my best friends in the world, John Oberg, and if everybody could say a prayer for him, he's having some nice health issues. Me and John developed a pole sharing system, and we were like doing drug deals with poles on top of cars. He would need a pole, I'd drive somewhere, we would meet, we would switch poles. He would have poles, I would switch. And I know it had to look stupid with 13-foot poles on the top of your car, but that's kind of the way it was. Melissa became the first Group 4 indoor state champ. Like Bill said, that I would help anybody. Melissa's title was won on a borrowed pole. If you don't understand pole vaulting, I definitely don't have 8 minutes to tell you all about that. But I'm even over now, but ain't nobody after me. And I think the other thing is I got a drink waiting for me, so we'll be all right. And Melissa and Angelica Nardi did a relay state championship. And during this is why it's 11 years was very important. It doesn't matter on this, but that's okay. 11 years, county girls never lost a county championship. Melissa won 3, Tiffany Beebe won 3, Megan Horn won 2, Caitlin Derman won 3. 10 second place finishes. The boys had 10 wins out of 11. Melissa's senior year, the boys went 1-2 at counties. The girls went 3-4, which would have been against every other boy in the county. They beat everybody else in the county. So that was pretty cool. I thought I was done when Melissa graduated. And then a young lady named Tiffany Beebe was a freshman. Doc Beebe had always been a hero of mine for everything he does. I made a deal with Doc. I would stay until Tiffany graduated. Then I added my MRT knuckleheads, and we dominated for a few years. And the boys, and this, I don't care where you're at, this is impressive. During their senior year, the boys went 1, 2, 3, 4 in every dual meet except one. You only score 3. So our fourth place boy beat everybody else and didn't even score. Except one meet, they finished 1, 2, 3. No boy scored a point in the conference against them all year. That was just incredible. That was probably my only fight I ever had with Bill. As I said, one of my boys should be honorable mention all conference. And Bill's like, well, you only scored 9 points. I said, well, who beat him? He said, well, the other 2 boys from our team. I said, you understand that no boy in the conference beat him. And Bill went, oh, okay. And that was about it. During that time, I coached kids from Buna, Lenape, Mainland, Vineland, Cumberland Regional, Alma, Sacred Heart, Princeton High, Ocean City, Haddonfield, to name a few. We had a great time. Bill Hoover, Bob Porch, Jason Kessler, Dana Calababa. We had just a great time. It was a lot of fun. I thought I was done. Let me see. Don't care about that. I do want to put this out. I coached at Millville football for 2 years. Okay, this one and I'll be done. I promise, maybe. 2 years I coached at the high school. And I got to coach with Bob Hogan. Okay? When I played, I'm going to read this, so I definitely don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I got to coach with Bob Hogan. When I played, I wasn't Coach Hogan's favorite player. And to be fair, he wasn't my favorite coach. I actually coached his son Bryce. And I treated him as fairly as I could. Not as I could, as I did any other player. He coached my son Danny and was awesome. That first year I got to watch how a truly great coach prepared and prepares his team. It was a true honor to work with him. And he said some actually really nice things about me, so it was pretty cool. And I miss him. I do. It was great. 1 year I coached at Vineland, that was kind of weird. And I was there to help their long snappers, and their coach wouldn't let me help. And that game I was sitting next to Jim. It was a tight game against Vineland, and their long snapper snapped the ball over somebody's head, and we scored and then went on to win pretty big. So I was kind of happy with that. And the red and gray sweatshirt gave me hives, so it was okay. Like I said, the one thing with track and field, you're competing against yourself. You're not competing against somebody else. So, like I said, the year Melissa won, it was on a borrowed pole. And 1 year, I was helping this girl from Mainland, and the official came up and asked her a question, and she looks at me and she goes, "What do you think?" And the official went, No, he's from Millville. You're from Mainland. And she goes, "That's okay." I said, "That's all right, we'll do that." And then Melissa's senior year, I believe it was, indoors. It was between her and a girl from Princeton. I was coaching both of them. And she didn't win. But the other girl, the coach came down right near the end of the meet, and the girl looked at him. And this was at the Princeton Stadium. I don't know if anybody's been there. But the stands are real far away. Then you have a basketball arena. Then you have the track. So her coach comes walking down, and she looks at him and says, "Get back where you're supposed to be. Coach Gale's got me." So that was pretty cool. You know what I mean? And but that was the whole thing. I mean, we started pole vaulting down in North Carolina. We do well there, but it's a true honor. I coach the girls. Now I coach all 4 seasons now, or 4 seasons, and that's been cool. I'm going to do this closing. I believe God gives everybody gifts. It's up to us to water them and make them grow. I'm so proud of my children because they were blessed with gifts and have worked hard to make them grow. Our son Dan was blessed with a desire, just a tremendous desire. He was never outworked. His determination and grit helped make him into a great javelin thrower that qualified for the Olympic trials. He has taken that work ethic and has become a very successful businessman, father, and husband. Our daughter, Melissa, has taken her gifts and become a tremendous mother, wife, teacher, and coach. She was named Teacher of the Year in 2019 and Co-Coach of the Year in 2023. So that's basically it. I am way over. I apologize. I don't think Bill beat me. I mean, I don't know if I beat Bill. But like I said, Bill said it was his last time. Guess what? You can't take this away from me. So thanks.
Sorry. Sorry. Congratulations.
Okay.
So, the older you get, the more these things happen as far as, life and death. But there's two gentlemen that I want to recognize tonight, passed away this year. The first one, he's been mentioned quite a few times with the inductees, and that's Coach Al Caldwell. And Coach Caldwell is a member of the Millville Sports Hall of Fame. He passed away this year. I want to recognize him to you guys tonight. And also, just recently, we lost basically another chaplain of the Millville Thunderbolt Club, and that was Reverend Garrett Kenyon. And I don't know if anybody saw the grand opening of the new stadium next door, John Barbo's Field or John Barbo Stadium at Wheaton Field, but Reverend Kenyon was there, and he blessed that stadium and basically blessed all the athletes that played there and did a phenomenal job. And it wasn't but 2 weeks later, I think, that he passed away. But maybe just a moment of silence for those two gentlemen who passed away this year. Thank you very much. Just to conclude our program tonight, and obviously what a fantastic class. What a fantastic class of athletes. I'm very proud of the job that the committee does on choosing our athletes each and every year. You go through the program and see some of the people that are part of this Hall of Fame. But I would like the inductees tonight to stand when I call your name. And if they're not here, maybe their family could stand, and that's Kay Casaboon Ayers, O'Connell Brown, Cliff Johnson's family, John Pellicetti, Melissa Gale Mann, the 1998 boys track team, Coach Steve Horn, and finally Dan Gale. And I'll present to you guys that are here tonight the 2023 class of Millville Sports Hall of Fame. So how about a big round of applause for everybody? Just a reminder for the inductees tonight to hang around so Audrey can get your picture. And that concludes our ceremony for tonight. Have a safe trip home. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Coach. Thanks.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.